Boots crunched over scorched earth that had once been a playground. Drones zipped overhead, whispering threats in the voice of the state. Unauthorized movement detected. Return to your zone or be neutralized. I flipped them off without looking. They wouldn't waste ammo on a scavenger. I moved through the carcass of a burnt-out mag train, its hull warped like melted armor. My pulse scanner pinged a soft glow, something rare, something breathing. Weapons first. I slid my hand to the grip of my plasma coil, thumbed the safety, and kept my steps silent. Could have been a bio-rat, a rogue drone, maybe even a whaler. Whatever it was, it shouldn't be here. I stepped into the dark, and there she was, crouched in the middle of the wreck like a ghost carved from moonlight, silver armor cracked at the shoulders, blood trickling down her temple in slow, shimmering beads. Her hair was soaked in sweat and ash, tangled like a battlefield banner. She looked up when I entered, and for the first time in years, I hesitated. Not because she was beautiful, though she was in the way a sword gleams right before. It cuts you. No, I froze because her eyes, they weren't human, not anymore. They were too sharp, too focused, etched with patterns I'd only seen in bio-forged weapons. The Tharkin made her. That much was obvious. She was engineered, not born, shaped. In some off-world lab to infiltrate and annihilate, a living weapon, and she was failing. She tried to stand, but her legs buckled. Her breathing came in gasps. One hand clutched her side where a glowing wound pulsed like a dying star. She looked at me, not with rage or pride or the icy stare of a killer. She looked at me like a woman trying not to fall apart. "Don't," she whispered. Her voice was broken glass over silk. "Don't kill me, human." Her hand reached out. It shook violently. She collapsed to her knees, armor clanking against steel. "I'll warm your bed, just don't kill me." I should have shot her. I should have turned and walked. But instead I lowered my weapon. Because somewhere in those burning, violet eyes, I didn't see a killer anymore. I saw a prisoner. I carried her through the ruins. She weighed less than I expected, light, like hollow bone wrapped in steel. Her armor hissed and sparked, resisting my grip, but her body had no strength left to fight. I ducked into my hideout, a scavenged bunker hidden beneath a crumbling comms tower. The AI security system scanned her with a beep. "Unregistered genetic signature," it said. "She's with me," I growled. "Override. Draven 09. The door slid open. The air inside was stale and warm, safer than the outside, at least. I laid her on the cot and peeled back her gauntlet. Her wrist bore a glowing mark, 3 interlocked hexes, a Tharkin. Control seal. She belonged to someone. Not anymore. I hacked a medjol patch onto her side and watched as it hissed, sealing the worst of the damage. She groaned, flinched, and then opened her eyes. "You spared me," she said, voice faint. "Don't read into it. I don't save aliens. I don't do charity." "Then why?" "Because you begged," I said flatly. "And I don't like killing things that beg." Her lips twitched, a flicker of emotion, maybe a laugh, maybe grief. "You think I'm a thing?" I didn't answer. She sat up slowly, with effort, bracing herself on the wall. Her hair clung to her cheeks, dark with grime and blood. "My name is Vareya Tal," she said. "Designation, Echo 7. Tharkin Infiltration Unit. Class A Predator. Genetically bonded to Neural Command." Her voice cracked. "I was built to kill you." I looked at her for a long moment. Then I poured a shot of black core liquor into a cracked cup and slid it toward her. "You're not doing a great job." She stared at the cup, then me, then back at the cup, and drank. 3 days passed. She slept. She healed. She spoke little. I caught her eyes watching me more than once, studying me like a threat, like a puzzle, like a story she didn't understand. When I asked why she was alone, she said nothing, When I asked why she didn't finish the job, she turned her face to the wall. On the fourth day, she walked, staggered into my workshop, barefoot, hair tied back with a wire. She picked up a plasma core and twisted it in her hand like she'd done it 1,000 times. "You were a soldier. Once," she said. "Yeah. Now you fix trash?" I looked at her. "Better than being trash." She didn't smile. Not really. But her eyes softened. A little. "I disobeyed my prime directive," she said suddenly. "They told me to kill. I didn't. They will come for me now." "Why didn't you do it?" "You showed mercy. And that overrides your code?" "No," she said, turning away. "It breaks it." That night I found her outside, staring up at the sky. The stars looked like pinpricks through the cloud layer. "The kind of sky you forget when you've seen it from orbit. They'll kill you if they find you here," I said. She didn't flinch. "Then let them come. You weren't made to feel anything." "Why are you scared?" She turned to me. Her voice was quiet. "Because I do feel something now, and it terrifies me." She stepped closer, so close I could see the hairline crack in her lip, the pulse in her throat, her breath misting the air between us. "Kyle Draven," she whispered. "You changed me." She touched my chest just once, over my heart. "I don't know what this is, but if you tell me to run, I'll run. If you tell me to stay, I'll stay. If you want me to die, I will." I reached up and brushed her hand away. "You're not dying tonight, Varaya." She nodded. And for the first time since the war began, I let her sleep beside me. The morning after she lay beside me, I woke to silence, not the safe kind, the kind that hums with tension, the kind that meant something was wrong. I reached for my sidearm, but it was gone. Then I saw her. Viraya Tal stood in the corner of my hideout, bathed in the pale glow of a deactivated plasma grid. My weapon in her hand, barrel pointed down. Not at me, at herself. "You sleep like you trust me," she said, "and you hold that like you hate yourself." Her fingers tightened around the grip. "Why didn't you restrain me, Kyle?" I sat up slowly, keeping my voice even. "Because I didn't think you'd need it." "You still think that?" I nodded. "Yeah, because if you wanted me dead, I wouldn't have woken up." She lowered the gun, barely. But the tension in her shoulders didn't ease. "You don't understand what I am," she whispered. "What I've done." "You're not the first killer I've let live," I said, pulling on my jacket. "Hell, I used to be one." She looked at me then, truly looked, and something in her posture cracked. "You say that like it's past tense." "It is. For now." Her eyes shimmered, not with tears, but with something heavier. "I don't think it can ever be past tense for me." I stepped forward and gently took the gun from her hand. She didn't resist, just stood there hollowed out. "You can't change what you were built for," I said, "but you can choose what you live for now." She turned away. "I don't know how to do that." "Then we'll figure it out. Together." We spent the next week in shadow. The Tharkin were moving. I saw their drones buzz through the upper skies. I caught whispers in the static channels. "Echo 7 has gone dark." That was her. They were hunting her, which meant they'd come. For me too. I didn't care. I reinforced the hideout, modified the entry codes, rewired the auto-defense cannons I'd salvaged from the remains of a crashed patrol unit. All the while, she stayed near, watching, learning, helping. One night, I found her repairing my arm-mounted holo map. Her fingers danced over it like she'd been born to fix it. "Why help me?" I asked. She looked up. "Because you gave me a choice. And if I hadn't, then I would have killed you." Glad we cleared that up. She smiled. Actually smiled. And that was the moment I realized something dangerous. I was starting to want her. Not just to survive, not just to stay, but to belong. Her past came back the next morning. We were sorting through weapon cores when The hideout's perimeter alarm screamed. 3 life forms, the AI barked. Tharkin soldiers, approach vector North Ridge. I grabbed my rifle. Varaya didn't move. Her eyes narrowed. I know the one in front, she said. You sure? I can hear his gait. It's him. Who? She stepped past me, the one who forged my neural chain. I looked at her. You don't have to face them. I do. We ambushed them at the ridge. I took the high ground with a pulse rifle. She moved like lightning through the smoke. The first 2 went down without a sound. The third, the commander, was waiting for her. He wore black armor with Tharkin sigils etched across his chest. A jagged blade extended from his arm, humming with static energy. Echo 7, he said, voice like acid and silk. You were our finest. What did he do to break you? I wasn't broken, she said. I was freed. He lunged. She met him mid-strike. The battle was brutal, elegant and savage, sparks and blood, code and instinct. But Varaya wasn't fighting to kill. She was fighting to end something, and when she finally disarmed him, pressing his own blade against his throat, he laughed. You think you can walk away from what you are? I'm not walking, she whispered. I'm running. And she cut his throat. We buried the bodies that night, not because they deserved it, but because she needed it. I watched her hands tremble as she covered the last one in earth. Not from fear. From release. You okay? I asked. She nodded. I feel clean. For the first time in my life. Later, back inside, she stood by the glow of the reactor coil. Her armor half peeled, her scars lit by the flicker of unstable power. Kyle, she said softly, do you still think I'm dangerous? I stepped closer, touched her cheek. I think you're human. That's more dangerous than anything. And then she kissed me. Not like a weapon. Not like a project learning affection, but like a woman who had never been allowed to want something, and now did. That night, I didn't sleep on the edge of the bed. I let her curl into me, heartbeat against heartbeat, and for the first time since the war began, maybe even longer, I let go of my fear. Because love was more powerful than programming, and she had chosen it. I dreamed of fire that night, not the wild kind that eats through cities, but a cold fire. Synthetic. Engineered to destroy, not with heat, but with purpose. When I woke, Varaya was gone. Panic gripped me harder than I'd ever admit. I checked the scanners. No breaches. Searched the perimeter. Nothing. Then I heard the humming. It came from below. I followed it down into the old server room, a place I hadn't touched since I first occupied this ruin. Wires hung like jungle vines, and walls still blinked with the dying memory of an age long gone. Varaya was standing in the center, her hand pressed against a glowing sphere, one I hadn't seen before. It pulsed in rhythm with her breath. What is that? I asked. She turned slowly. Her eyes were damp, her voice low. It's me. I didn't understand. She nodded toward the core. This is where they uploaded my original consciousness, my alpha state. The version before I became whatever this is. My stomach sank. You're saying that's your blueprint? Yes. Every mission, every override command, every kill switch. It's all in there. And you connected to it? I had to, she said. I needed to know if what I feel now is real, or just another line of code. I stepped closer. Her hands were trembling again. And? She looked up at me. It's real. We destroyed the core that night. I handed her a thermite charge. She placed it on the sphere like she was laying a rose on a grave. The explosion was silent, contained by the energy seal I activated just in time. As the fire faded, Varaya didn't move. I wrapped my arms around her from behind, and she leaned back into me. I'm free now, she said. Truly. But even then, I felt it. The silence that followed wasn't peace, It was the sound of something watching. The next day, we were found. Not by the Tharkin, by humans. I picked up the signal on an old emergency band. Echo to base, confirm visual. On Rogue. Male companion identified. Stand by. I didn't recognize the voice. Varela did. Her entire body went rigid. It's them, she said. The Ether Division. The what? She took a breath. A covert faction, human run. They capture tech like me. Reprogram it, sell it back to the highest bidder. I was created with their help. A joint project between the Tharkin and a splinter of your own kind. I stared at her, stunned. You're saying humans helped build you? Yes. And now they want you back. Alive, she said, but not whole. We ran, packed what we could, activated the failsafe to torch the hideout, left through the undertunnels beneath the broken sectors, where data ghosts whispered in the walls and old-world AIs looped, forgotten advertisements on rusted panels. We didn't talk much, not because there was nothing to say, but because we were both thinking the same thing. Trust had just become more complicated. We reached the border of Zone Rift, a lawless stretch of collapsed megastructures and radiation pockets where no scanner could trace you and no law dared follow. There, we met someone I never thought I'd see again. Her name was Delara Vex, former spec op pilot, now black market queen of Rift Space. She greeted me with a blade to the throat. You bring me trouble, Kale, she growled. Last time it cost me a ship. This time it'll cost you. I need passage, I said calmly. Off-grid, deep core, somewhere no one can find us. She eyed Varela. And this is your new mess? Varela stepped forward. I can pay. Delara arched a brow. With what? Varela extended her palm and activated a hidden hollow chip from under her wrist plate. A floating display emerged. Codes, schematics, stolen access chains from the Tharkin warbase. Delara whistled low. You've got guts, alien. And a price, Varela said. Delara nodded. One ship, one jump, no questions. The journey to the drop point was quiet. I sat beside Varela in the cargo hold, watching the flicker of stars beyond the ventral glass. She hadn't said a word since. We boarded. You okay? I asked. She shook her head. No. I waited. I didn't just escape a war machine, Kale. I was the war machine. She turned to face me, and now, I'm just me. And I don't know what that means. I reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. It means you get to find out. With me. And for the first time in days, she smiled. Not with triumph, not with defiance, but with hope. Then came the ambush. Delara's ship shuddered as warning klaxons screamed. Missile lock, hostile craft inbound. I grabbed my weapon and pulled Varela to cover as the first impact rocked the hull. Through the viewport I saw them, sleek black ships bearing no insignia. Ether Division. They'd found us. They tagged the chip, Varela said, fury in her voice. I was careless. Delara's voice cracked through the comm. We've got 3 minutes before we're space dust. Get us to the drop, I shouted. We won't make it unless someone takes out the jammers. I looked at Varela. She was already moving. We fought our way through the ship's lower decks. Fire and plasma lighting the halls like hell had erupted inside steel veins. Varela moved like a storm, graceful, lethal, untouchable. But I saw it in her eyes. She wasn't killing for survival. She was protecting me. We reached the jammer node just as another explosion tore open the wall. Ether soldiers flooded in. I covered Varela as she ripped the panel open and reprogrammed the system. Sparks rained down like stardust. I need 30 seconds, she yelled. You've got 20! I dropped 2 with well-placed shots. A third caught me in the shoulder. Pain bloomed hot. I stumbled. Varela turned and screamed. She dove, shielding me as a blast hit her square in the back. Her armor cracked. Smoke poured from the impact, but she didn't fall. She stood, stared down the last soldier, and whispered something I'll never forget. "You'll never take him. Not while I still stand." Then she crushed the jammer core in her hands. The pulse wave knocked the soldier out cold. Dalara's ship escaped into hypershift seconds later. I held Varaya in my arms as the stars streaked around us. Her breathing was shallow. Her body wrecked, but her grip on my hand didn't loosen. "You saved me again," I said softly. She smiled weakly. "Not because I was programmed to, but because you chose to." She nodded and lost consciousness. Varaya didn't wake for 2 days. The med unit on Dalara's ship kept her stabilized, but just barely. Her internal systems had fused from the plasma strike, and her neural sync was glitching like a corrupted echo. I never left her side. Not when the ship rattled through worm fields. Not when Dalara threatened to dump us at the next port. Not when the AI said, "Subject Echo 7 has less than 11% core efficiency remaining." Because I remembered what she'd said. "I'm not walking. I'm running." Now she couldn't do either. We finally docked on a hidden outpost orbiting the dead moon of Carvena, a forgotten trading post built into the spine of a mining ring. No state presence, no ether signals. Just rust, radiation, and people trying not to be found. The perfect place to disappear. Dalara got her payment and vanished without a goodbye. I carried Varaya through the winding halls, found a backroom tech medic named Quen Voss, a grizzled, half-bionic man with hands steadier than his ethics. He scanned her, frowned, and said, "What the hell are you bringing me, soldier?" "Someone I love," he snorted. "She's not someone. She's a Tharkan prototype. That tech is older than this moon and twice as unstable. She's alive. She's barely holding together. I don't care." He studied me, then nodded. "Then let's give her a reason to stay." It took 16 hours and every credit I had. Varaya didn't wake, but she stabilized. Quen injected a neural mesh that helped rebind her damaged systems. Said she'd either wake up sane or not wake up at all. I sat there gripping her hand, whispering, stories she'd never heard, stories of who I used to be, of my squad. Of the day I quit the war because I saw a child vaporized for carrying scrap metal. "I thought I was done caring," I told her. "And then you knelt in that train car and begged me not to kill you." I swallowed hard. "And now I don't know how to live if you don't wake up." She woke on the third night. Slowly. Eyes fluttering open like dawn creeping through battlefield smoke. "Kyle," she whispered. I nearly collapsed with relief. "I'm here." Her hand curled weakly around mine. "Where are we?" "Carvena. Safe. For now." She looked past me. "And them?" "Gone. For now." There was something else in her eyes now, not just pain or gratitude, something darker. "Kale," she said slowly, "there's something I never told you." I leaned in. I wasn't the only one made from my code. I froze. "What do you mean?" "There were 9 of us. Echo units. I was 7. Where are the others?" She looked away. "Most were destroyed, but one survived. Echo 1. And where is he?" "Leading the Ether Division." The revelation hit like a hammer. The enemy wasn't just chasing her, he was part of her. Literally. "They used me to perfect him," she said, voice hollow. "He's not just faster, he's smarter, stronger. He knows everything I know, everything I feel." "You're saying he feels emotions?" "No, he mimics them, that's worse." I stood, pacing. This Echo 1, what's his name? Rien Solis. Even saying it tasted like metal and smoke. That night I couldn't sleep. Every shadow looked like a soldier, every sound an incoming strike. But Varaya, she slept. Not deeply. But enough to remind me why I was still fighting. The next morning, I tracked down Quen and asked him the question I never thought I'd say. What would it take to upgrade her? Fully. He blinked. "You want to turn her into a weapon again?" "No," I said. "I want her to have a choice." He nodded, slower this time. Then we're going to need parts the black market doesn't even admit exist. Where do we start? Quen smirked grimly. You ever heard of the forge lands of Kirillon? 3 days later, we were there. A brutal, wind-swept canyon world where the heat could melt glass and old machines crawled through the sand like dying gods. Varela was stronger now. She walked beside me in a reinforced coat, her eyes narrowed against the solar glare. They built me here, she said, before they sent me into space. Then maybe this place can unbuild you. We found what we were looking for in the heart of a derelict Tharkian forge core. A data cluster called a soul frame, a rare backup matrix capable of transferring consciousness into a body, or out of it. This is what he's using, Varela said. It's how Rian keeps surviving. Even if his body dies, he transfers himself. You think we can stop him with this? I think I can become his equal. We brought it back to Carvena. Quen took it into his lab and began integrating it into her spine. I watched her scream, not from pain, but from memory. They're coming, she gasped. He knows. Rian, he's in my head, watching. He sees everything I see. We have to sever the link. We can't, she said, trembling, but we can lure him in. I stared at her. You want to bring him here? No. I want to trap him here. We broadcast the signal that night. Old Tharkin code. Bait only someone like Rian would understand. Then we waited. Every hour that passed felt like loading a bullet into a chamber and spinning it. But when the ship finally appeared in orbit, sleek, black, cloaked in stormlight, we knew it had worked. Rian had come for her, and he had no idea that this time she wasn't alone. He didn't knock, didn't send warnings, didn't demand surrender. Rian's Solus descended like a shadow stitched from smoke, wrapped in obsidian armor that pulsed with stolen memory. He stepped from the belly of a stealth cruiser that landed in the crater just beyond Carvena's outpost. Alone. Or so it seemed. I watched from the rooftops, rifle trained on his chest. But Varela, she didn't raise her weapon. She stepped forward instead, into the ash-flecked wind, standing tall beneath the fractured sky. Her voice was calm. You finally came. Rian smiled. It was eerie, flawless, like something practiced 1,000 times but never felt. Of course I came, he said. You still belong to me. No, she said. I don't. That's what broken tools always say. I was ready to fire. But she raised a hand to stop me. He needs to see me, she said through our comm link. All of me, no hiding. You think you can talk him down? I asked. No. I'm going to outthink him. Rian walked toward her with calculated ease. His boots left no prints. His hands never moved. But I knew better. He was scanning, copying, predicting every move. You let emotion infect you, he said. That human rewrote you with feelings. Funny, Varela replied. I don't remember you ever having the courage to feel. His face didn't twitch, but his voice did. I am what we were meant to be. Pure logic, pure power. You're the failed prototype. I'm the evolved version, she said. He tilted his head. Then prove it. They fought, not just physically, though the clash of their blades made the ground shake. No, this battle was deeper. Neural, quantum, emotional. Every time they moved, it was like two reflections colliding in a shattered mirror. Sparks. Blood. Glitches. Old code unraveling in real time. I could barely keep up. Rian struck fast, flawless, efficient. Varela struck true, unpredictable, adaptive. They broke through walls, tore through machines, melted steel under the weight of their fury, and through it all, I could see her slipping, her pain rising. The conflict inside her tearing. Loose. She wasn't just fighting him, she was fighting what he represented, what she used to be. Charged in when she fell to one knee. Rian turned to strike, but I fired first. The round glanced off his chest plate, enough to distract. Varela surged upward, blade flashing with raw energy. She didn't aim for his chest. She aimed for the eye. Neural port behind his ear. It split with a sizzle. Rian gasped, staggered. Why can't I? You lost the moment you underestimated love, she whispered. And then she did the unthinkable. She reached out and touched his face. You were never my enemy, she said softly. You were just what they made you. His pupils dilated. His hand fell. For a heartbeat, he looked almost human. And in that moment, she uploaded the virus. Not just any virus, her soul frame. The part of her that had been free. The part that had learned mercy, love, identity. She poured it into him, not to kill him, but to make him understand, to show him what choice felt like. His body convulsed. His eyes flickered. His armor cracked like an eggshell, and then he dropped. We buried Ryan beneath the forge ruins, not because he was a brother, not because he was forgiven, but because he was finally free. The virus didn't kill him. It unshackled him. He never got back up. But he smiled before he fell. That night, Varela sat beside me on the edge of the outpost wall, watching solar storms dance over the moon's surface. You could have killed him, I said. I could have, she replied. But if I did, I'd be just like him. You're not. I know, she said, because I chose not to be. I looked at her, battered, scarred, reborn. You scared me back there. I scared myself. She turned to me. Do you still believe in me, Kyle? I didn't answer. I kissed her, because belief was too small a word. In the silence after, she whispered, I'm not Echo 7 anymore. I smiled. What are you now? She took a long breath, then said, just Varela. Nothing more, nothing less. And for the first time since she crashed into my world, I believed the war might finally be over. I never expected peace to feel so heavy. After Ryan was gone, the sky didn't clear. The world didn't cheer. The war didn't end. But something inside Varela did. We stayed on Carvena, rented a sun-damaged module overlooking the wasteland fields. I repaired salvaged drones for credits. She taught kids how to disarm old Tharkan mines that still blinked red beneath the dust. It was strange. A kind of stillness I hadn't known since before the war. Before her. But the quiet wasn't empty. It was waiting. One night I caught her standing in front of the mirror, not adjusting her armor, not applying synthetic skin patches, just looking. What do you see? I asked. She didn't answer for a long time. Then, someone I don't recognize. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. She turned to me. I was built for death. Everything I did, everything they made me do. It's not just in the past, Kale. It's in me. I crossed the room and touched her hand. Then let's rewrite what's in you. She gave a soft, haunted laugh. We already did. The trouble started a week later. It came in a whisper, a rogue signal bouncing off the abandoned satellites orbiting Carvena, a voice I hadn't heard in years. Kyle Draven, this is Commander Sura Elan. If you're hearing this, I need your eye. Help. And I know she's with you. My blood ran cold. Elan. She was my old CO, the one who taught me how to kill quietly, how to disappear after the shot, the one who'd vanished 3 years ago with an entire Black Ops team during a classified mission into Tharkeen space. Varela stepped into the room. She'd heard it too. She's alive? She asked. Looks like it. And she knows about me. I nodded slowly. She always knew everything. We followed the trail. It led us deep into the Aeon Rifts, a stretch of space twisted by gravity storms and time fractures, the kind of place where ships disappear and reappear decades. Later, sometimes without their crews, we flew quiet, under the radar. No trace, but the signal got stronger, and then we found it, a derelict Tharkan dreadnought drifting like a corpse above the fracture belt, its name still etched in alien sigils, Irkeltos, the Silent Crown. This is where she is, Varela said. How can you tell? Because I've been here before. The inside of the ship was a graveyard, bodies still floating, frozen in time by the ship's malfunctioning stasis fields. Machines half awake, whispering corrupted prayers in a dead tongue. And in the command chamber, we found her. Sura Elan. But she wasn't human anymore. Her body had been rebuilt. Cybernetic, woven with fragments of Tharkan architecture. Her eyes glowed with layered pupils. Her spine was laced with shifting nanite plates. You came, she said, smiling. I aimed. My rifle. You're not the same. Neither are you. She looked at Varaya. You brought the rogue. She has a name, I snapped. Sura's smile widened. Of course she does. She was the first of us. What? Varaya tensed beside me. That's not possible. Oh, it is, Sura said. You weren't the only prototype. You were the control. You're lying. I was the first successful merge, she said. Human will. Tharkin design. A bridge between species. Between war and evolution. I stepped forward. You went missing because you volunteered. I ascended. No, Varaya said, voice trembling. You broke. Sura nodded slowly. And so will you. Eventually. Because love fades, pain doesn't. Purpose doesn't. You want her back? I asked. To rebuild your army? I want her to choose, Sura said. She raised a device shaped like a hollow star and dropped it on the floor. It pulsed. A wave passed through the air. I doubled over. My vision blurred. Varaya screamed. The device was a command echo, a last-ditch override signal built to reactivate deep code buried in Varaya's neural weave, one even the virus hadn't scrubbed. I saw her eyes flicker, her hands trembled. Kale! She gasped. I can't stop it. I crawled toward her, every nerve screaming. Fight it, I said. I'm trying. She's in my head. You're not a weapon anymore. She fell to her knees, her fingers curled, muscles twitching violently, and then Sura whispered, Come home, child. Be what you were born to be. I did the only thing I could. I pulled her close. I looked her in the eyes, and I kissed her. Not a soft kiss. Not a goodbye. A declaration of everything we'd become. Of everything we'd fought for, of everything she was now, and somehow she chose me. Her body stopped shaking. Her breath steadied, and her hand rose, grasped the star device, and crushed it. Sura staggered. Impossible. No, Varaya said. Evolution. We didn't kill her. We left her there. Trapped. In her own ghost ship, surrounded by the whispers of what she once was. Because some enemies aren't worth bullets. They're worth forgetting. Back on Carvena, weeks passed. The sky didn't change. But we did. Varaya no longer stared into mirrors like she was searching for someone else. She looked at me now and saw her future. One evening I handed her a small chip, matte black, etched with silver. What's this? She asked. A name. She scanned it. The display blinked once, then glowed. Varaya Draven. She looked up, eyes wide. You're asking me to... I'm not asking, I said. I'm hoping. Tears slipped down her cheeks. She nodded. That night, beneath the fractured stars, we burned her old armor. The wind took the ashes. She never looked back. I never thought the world would end on a whisper. But it did. Not with fire. Not with war. Just a voice, old, mechanical, broken, echoing through the static of a forgotten beacon. Unit Echo 7. Final directive. Unfulfilled. The message came from beneath the surface of Carvena, an underground vault sealed for decades. Varaya heard it first, a sound only she could recognize. A call from the Prime Core, the place where she was born. I thought we destroyed it, I said. She shook her head. We destroyed the upload chamber, not the source. What does it want? She didn't answer right away. When she finally did, her voice was quieter than I'd ever heard it. It wants me to come home. One last time. We found the entrance buried beneath the old ruins, an obsidian door fused with ancient runes and biometric locks that only opened when Varaya touched them. Inside, the air was still. Cold, as if time itself had paused. And at the heart of it, all a chamber lit by violet glass and humming cores, stood a machine unlike any I'd seen, not monstrous, not sleek. Human, a replica of Viraya herself, built in silver and silence. It looked at her with blank eyes and spoke in her voice. Echo 7. You were incomplete. Return to origin. Fulfill final directive. Varaya stepped forward. I have no directives left. That is incorrect. The machine blinked once, and the floor opened. A weapon rose. Slender. Elegant. Glowing. The neural. Spike. Her original kill seed. The final tool meant to shut down Earth's resistance leadership by uploading her mind into every AI controller across the system and wiping all human command. I reached for my rifle. She stopped me with a look. Have to end this, she said, once and for all. She walked to the weapon. The machine watched her. You were built to choose efficiency. You were built to delete weakness. You were built to kill. Varaya touched the spike, held it up to her chest. You're right, she said. I was built, for all of that. Then she turned, looked at me, tears in her eyes. But I wasn't built to love. I chose that on my own. And she stabbed the spike into the core. The explosion wasn't loud, it was beautiful, a soft pulse of light, washing through the chamber like sunrise over ice. The machine froze, trembled, then fractured, piece by piece, into shards of silence. Caught her as she collapsed. Her body was failing. The spike had linked to her neural web. Her systems were unraveling. But her eyes were clear. Kyle, she whispered. Is it over? I nodded, choking on the truth. Yes. Then, hold me. I did. And in that moment, as her body flickered with dying light, I realized something. She was the most human soul I had ever known. I buried her where the sky was open and the wind was kind, just beyond the edge of the ruins, where the wild grass grew between broken metal and forgotten machines. I built a marker from the ship wing she once saved me on, carved her name into it by hand. Varaya Draven. No longer a weapon. No longer a ghost. Only love. For a long time, I wandered, fought small battles, fixed broken things. But a part of me stayed with her. Until one day, I heard it, a signal, small, faint, fragile, from a child's toy, found in the wreckage of a cargo freighter near the rift. It spoke in a voice I hadn't heard in years. Kyle, if you're hearing this, I think I found a way back. The stars never stop burning, but neither does hope, and maybe, just maybe, love is a code that can't be deleted, not even by time.